All right, so we're just going to talk about ratios for a second. And a ratio basically is a fraction. Sometimes you'll see it written as A to B with a colon. So we have that it's a fraction, and it's going to basically compare the sizes of the two quantities. So if we have A over B, or comparing A to B, we're going to be comparing the size of A to the size of B. And so basically that means that if we have the ratio A over B is greater than 1, then that's going to mean that A is larger than B. Okay, and so for example, if I had something like the ratio 4 to 2, this is equal to 2. That means that 4 is greater than 2, and in fact 4 is 2 times as large as 2. And we could have something like 10 to 5. That's again equal to 2, and 10 is 2 times as large as 5. Okay, and then if we have the ratio A to B is equal to 1, that's going to mean that our quantities A and B are the same. So for instance, 10 to 10, that's equal to 1 because 10 is equal to 10. If I have 5 to 5, that's equal to 1. 3 to 3, that's equal to 1. And so I'm comparing these quantities, and they're all, when I take the ratio, they're all equal to 1, and that's because the quantities are equal. They're exactly 1 time as large, like A is exactly 1 time as large as B because it's the same number, right? And then if we have that our ratio A to B is less than 1, that's going to mean that A is going to be less than B. But we can actually still interpret it as how many times A is as large as B. So let's say I take 2 to 4. Well, this is equal to 0.5, or 1/2, and that's because 2 is 1/2 as large as 4, right? 2 is 1/2 of 4. I could take 5 over 10, and comparing 5 to 10, that's again equal to 0.5, and that's because 5 is half as large as 10. And so I hope you see that when we're taking these ratios, we're comparing this number A, the size of A, to the size of B. And when we simplify the fraction, whatever value we get, that's telling us how many times larger A is than B. So if we get a number that's greater than 1, then A is going to be larger than B. If we get 1, then A is the same as B. And if we get a number less than 1, A is smaller than B. Okay, so now if we have the ratio of two numbers, and say we take A to be a variable and B to be a variable, so they represent things. And anytime I take the ratio of the two, say I keep getting this constant C, then the variables A and B are going to be called directly proportional. So an example of that would be sales tax. So for instance, if I take the amount of sales tax that I pay for an item, and I divide that by the original price, this is going to give me the same constant every time. And that constant actually ends up being the percent sales tax.